You already know such a person, you just haven't figured out what exactly he does yet. He's from your town. He's not the most ambitious of the people you remember from school or your first job. He drives a regular car, works reasonable hours, and doesn't post inspirational quotes about success. But 3 months ago, he paid cash for something you're only just beginning to grasp. And when you ask him what he does, he names something so simple that at first you think he's joking, or leaving something out, or that you've misunderstood something. He's not joking, and you haven't missed a detail. It's just that your brain has been automatically filtering out exactly these kinds of opportunities your whole life because they don't look like opportunities. They look like boring, everyday things done by people without ambition. Your brain decided this without your input and hid from you an entire class of businesses that operate quietly, stably, and with minimal competition precisely because everyone else decided to ignore them too. This filter has been costing you for years now. Today, we're turning it off. I'll show you 15 businesses that are generating serious money right now in any city across the country. Most of them can be launched with minimal startup capital. Some of them literally this week. None of them will make the cover of a startup magazine. And that's exactly why they work. Before I get to the list, one observation, without which the rest won't fall into place. Every business on this list has one thing in common. Let's call it the psychological aversion barrier. It's not about complexity. Most of these businesses are technically simple. It's not about risk. Many of them are more stable than any startup. It's about the fact that they're a little awkward to talk about over dinner. You wouldn't tell new acquaintances you're building a business in composting toilets. You wouldn't post a photo of your ATM route. This collective awkwardness is its greatest asset. It's precisely because of it that these industries generate billions of dollars a year with almost no competition. People have convinced themselves that the work is too low status and left the door open for those who don't suffer from this prejudice. It's not a problem, it's an invitation. Remember the numbers. Business number 1. Self-service laundromats are an industry with a failure rate of less than 5%, and no one talks about it out loud. Before your brain automatically files this under the too obvious to be interesting category, look at the real numbers. The average self-service laundromat in the country generates between 300,000 and 1 million rubles in annual revenue. The margin for a well-run location is 20 to 35%. That's potentially 350,000 rubles in net profit from a single location. There are about 30,000 such facilities operating in the country, and the failure rate among them is less than 5%. 5%. For comparison, restaurants close in the first year almost 60% of the time. Laundromat owners don't talk about this. They're deliberately silent. A modern laundromat with a cashless payment system and remote equipment monitoring is managed in literally a few hours a week. You're not selling a product. You're selling access to infrastructure that people can't replicate at home, and they pay for it every month without having to find a new customer each time. The same people, the same money, month after month. The most stable cash flow you can build in a small business is an infrastructure that people can't get around. A laundromat is exactly that. People don't stop washing during a crisis. They don't put it off until better times. Demand is completely independent of the economic cycle. The main barrier to entry isn't money. It's the fact that no one dreams of owning a laundromat as a child. And it's precisely this dream that leaves you in a market with virtually no competition. Most people's initial reaction to vending machines is the same. $400 a month per machine isn't a big deal. And you're right, it isn't, until you start scaling. Successful operators build routes of 15 to 30 machines. 20 machines averaging $500 a month is $10,000 in monthly revenue from a business that doesn't require your physical presence. A refurbished machine costs $1,500 to $3,000. A new smart card accepting machine costs $3,000 to $6,000. The vending machine industry in the country is valued at $9.5 billion, and much of it is run by small, independent operators, regular people who one day realized the one thing everyone else missed. The skill that separates successful operators from those who quit isn't machine maintenance. It's negotiating locations. A vending machine in a hospital hallway or a manufacturing facility's break room will generate a steady income for years. In the wrong hallway, the machine will gather dust. It's the entire business. And almost no one competes for the best locations because most don't even consider it seriously. A good location is an asset that works for you 24/7, never takes vacations, and never asks for a raise. Every time you pay a fee to withdraw cash from an ATM, you're sending money to someone specific, and that someone is often not a bank. Of the approximately 470,000 ATMs in the country, a significant portion are privately owned. These are ordinary people who bought a machine, negotiated a placement agreement, and now receive a commission on every transaction. A machine that processes 200 transactions per month at 150 rubles each brings in 30,000 per month. 10 machines bring in 300,000 per month. The cost of the machine itself ranges from 150,000 to 300,000 rubles. You split the commission with the business that places you, usually 50-50, and the rest goes to you. The only operational task is to periodically top up the cash and call the service line if there's a problem. It's not a complex business. It's a completely invisible business, and this invisibility is the whole point. Nobody discusses this at business conferences. No one writes about this in business publications. The market is open to anyone who simply wants to enter it. There are hundreds of millions of parking spaces in the country. Each one needs to be repainted every 2 to 3 years. Lines fade. Insurance companies require visible markings and local codes mandate them. And almost all of this business is serviced by small local operators because standardizing such work isn't profitable for large companies. Starter equipment costs between 90,000 and 250,000 rubles. A marking machine, paint, and a truck. The average parking lot brings in between 30,000 and 180,000 rubles per visit. An experienced operator closes 2 to 3 parking lots per day. On a productive day, revenue ranges from 90,000 to 360,000 rubles, with virtually zero operating costs after purchasing the equipment. Operators in cities with over 1 million residents earn between 12 and 25 million rubles per year for 2 people and an assistant. Every supermarket, every hospital, every school, every residential complex in your city is a potential client. And almost no one approaches them with this proposal. Not because the market is saturated, but because the idea doesn't seem compelling. This is precisely what creates the opportunity. When you're renovating, knocking down a partition, or replacing a roof, the trash needs to go somewhere. This demand exists regardless of the economic situation, season, or political agenda. Renting a 10 to 15 cubic meter container costs between 2,500 and 5,000 rubles per day in most cities. A 2-truck operation making 3 to 5 trips per day generates between 600,000 and 1,200,000 rubles per month. The main barrier to entry is the initial investment. A used multi-lift truck will cost between 2.5 and 6 million rubles. But the equipment here serves as collateral for financing. Banks are willing to lend against tangible assets. The real barrier isn't monetary, it's psychological. No one dreams of starting a waste business. And it's precisely this lack of dreamers that keeps competition at a minimum and margins at a maximum. An interesting detail about the sustainability of this business. When the economy grows, new construction occurs and containers are needed. When the economy declines, people renovate instead of moving, and containers are in demand again. Demand is stable in both directions of the cycle. Notice something about the first 5 businesses on this list. They all involve physical equipment and transportation. The next 10 are a different story. Some are launched for less than 100,000 rubles. Several were launched just this week without any formal training. But before we continue, remember one thing that connects everything you've read so far. Every person currently running one of these businesses was looking at the same economics as you, the same information available to everyone. The only thing that set them apart was their willingness to look boring for a year in exchange for looking wealthy for a decade. Let's continue. When someone buys an apartment or refinances a mortgage, hundreds of pages of legal documents need to be signed and notarized. Banks and real estate companies hire certified signing agents who come to the client's home and oversee the entire process. The fee for one visit ranges from 5,000 to 15,000 rubles. On a busy day, you make 4 to 6 visits. That's 20,000 to 90,000 rubles per day. No office, no warehouse, no employees, just a notary seal and a printer. Certification takes 30 to 60 days and costs several thousand rubles. The real estate market conducts millions of transactions annually, even during slow periods, and refinancing adds even more. And here's what makes this business unique among all the 15. You can start earning money within 60 days of deciding to launch. Very few legitimate businesses can honestly promise that. Another detail is mobility. You work when you want, as much as you want. 4 trips a day, 5 days a week, is a full-time income. 2 trips are extra. This is one of the few businesses on this list where you completely control the intensity. There are currently millions of RVs and boats registered in the country, and almost all of them share the same problem: nowhere to park. Apartment complex regulations, city restrictions, and neighbor complaints mean these vehicles need space, and they're willing to pay for it. Monthly storage costs range from 3,000 to 25,000 rubles, depending on the size and class of the vehicle. If you have access to even a small plot of land near a residential area, you can build a storage area. Add gravel, a fence, security cameras, a gate with a coded lock, and start collecting monthly revenue from day one. Some operators earn between 5 and 15 million rubles a year from what's essentially a fenced-in gravel parking lot. Demand is real and growing. Supply is critically low in most cities. The barrier is almost entirely psychological. Most people can't believe it could be so simple. This is your advantage. While others are looking for a more complex and interesting idea, the demand for storage does not go away. You already know you won't mention this at a party. And it's precisely this reaction, that immediate social inconvenience, that explains why those who do get into the business make exceptionally good money. The mobile sanitation industry is valued at hundreds of billions of rubles. Construction sites, outdoor weddings, music festivals, disaster relief, all of them constantly and predictably require portable toilets. A standard toilet booth rents from 5,000 to 25,000 rubles per month on long-term construction sites. For weekend events, it's 8,000 to 18,000 rubles per 2-day rental. 20 booths on permanent monthly contracts cost between 100,000 and 500,000 rubles per month before you even start taking on one-off events. Demand is unaffected by the crisis. Competition is thin in most cities. And the only thing standing between you and a $12 to $20 million a year business is your willingness to make decisions you wouldn't broach at a social dinner. This willingness is your real competitive advantage. Identity theft is one of the most common categories of fraud. Federal and regional laws require businesses to properly destroy confidential documents. They can't simply be thrown in the trash. Your job in this business is to arrive at an office with a truck equipped with an industrial shredder, destroy the documents right in front of the client, and issue a destruction certificate. You charge between 300 and 900 rubles per box, or a fixed fee per visit. A small B2B operation with 25 to 30 clients on monthly contracts generates between 500,000 and 1 million rubles per month. What makes this business special is that once you become a document shredding provider for a company, they almost never change contractors. Every law firm, medical clinic, financial consultant, and HR department in your city is a potential client. In most markets, there are 2 or 3 providers serving the entire city. This isn't a market with overheated competition. It's a market where you're literally welcome. In most regions, an automatic irrigation system requires 2 seasonal maintenance sessions, a spring startup and a fall shutdown before frost. Each visit takes 20 to 45 minutes. Fees range from 4,000 to 10,000 rubles. You cover 8 to 12 addresses per day. In the spring and fall alone, approximately 4 to 6 weeks each, a solo operator earns between 2 and 4 million rubles, and that's before you factor in repairs, installation of new systems, and summer maintenance. The main starting tool is an industrial compressor for blowing out the system before winter. But what makes this business especially valuable over the long term is its phenomenal customer retention. Once a homeowner finds a reliable irrigation technician, they call the same number every year for as long as they live in the house. You don't chase new clients, they come back year after year. No advertising, no discounts, no effort on your part. Here's what you should notice right now, looking at the top 10 positions on this list. Each of these businesses has one thing in common. They solve a problem customers prefer not to think about. And businesses that solve problems people prefer not to think about have one very specific characteristic. Their customers don't compare prices, they don't wait for sales, they don't go looking for a substitute. They just want the problem to go away, and they'll pay whoever shows up on time and does it reliably. This predictability is worth more than any viral product launch. Let's continue with the last 5. Most people outside the healthcare industry have no idea this exists as a standalone business. Independent billing companies contract with doctors, therapists, and small clinics to manage insurance billing and collections. The average practice loses 30 to 40% of potential revenue due to billing errors, insurance denials, and missed follow-up claims. Your job is to recoup this revenue, and you receive 5 to 10% of the collected amounts as a fee. Working with 3 to 5 small practices, you can earn 5 to 10 million rubles a year from home with virtually no startup costs, aside from training and specialized software. The training takes 3 to 6 months. Most people will fail, and those who do will find a market with deep recurring demand, virtually no local competition, and income that doesn't depend on constantly searching for new clients. Clinics don't change billing partners without a good reason. There are too many operational dependencies. Once you log into the system, you're working with the same clients for years. Stay with this point. Over time, granite and marble headstones become covered in a biological film, algae, lichen, and moss. This not only obscures the inscriptions, but also irreversibly damages the stone if not removed promptly. Restoration uses a gentle cleaning method and specialized compounds that do not damage the surface. A single cleaning takes 30 to 90 minutes and costs between 4,500 and 18,000 rubles. Starting costs for equipment are less than 60,000 rubles. Private families commission cleaning of personal memorials. Cemeteries hire contractors to restore entire sections. A single contract with a cemetery can cost between 300,000 and 1,200,000 rubles. Right now, go to search and count how many companies offer this service in your city. In most markets, there are between 0 and 2. In many cities, you would be the only one. The demand is real. Payment is documented. The market is open in most of the country. Because most people don't want to work in cemeteries, this makes this business one of the least disrupted on this list. The average residential building in the country is over 30 years old. That's millions of windows with damaged seals, torn screens, and broken hardware, all currently located across the country. A complete window replacement costs between 20,000 and 60,000 rubles per window, which is why more and more owners are opting for repairs. As a mobile operator, you charge between 4,500 and 9,000 rubles for screen replacement and between 9,000 and 24,000 rubles for seal replacement and reglazing. 8 to 12 visits per day. Annual revenue for a solo operator ranges from 7 to 15 million rubles in most cities. Startup equipment costs less than 300,000 rubles. The skill can be mastered in weeks, and with repair activity increasing and new construction slowing, demand for this type of work is quietly accelerating in almost all regions. Another point: clients in this business come back. A homeowner rarely has just one problematic window, usually several, and neighbors see a van parked outside their home and remember the license plate number. The car detailing industry is worth billions of rubles annually. Mobile detailing, where you come to the client instead of waiting at the car wash, completely eliminates rental costs and targets clients who are willing to pay the most. A premium mobile service charges between 9,000 and 25,000 rubles per car. 3 to 5 cars a day generates between 27,000 and 125,000 rubles in daily revenue with minimal expenses. But the real business model here is a recurring client base. Entrepreneurs and executives need a clean car once a month on a fixed schedule. A mobile detailer with 40 regular clients earns between 360,000 and 1 million rubles per month in predictable income. Startup costs for high-quality mobile equipment range from 120,000 to 300,000 rubles. If you need to quickly start generating real income with minimal capital, this is the most accessible entry point on this entire list. Your first regular client will appear after your first trip. The second one will appear after the first one shows a photo of the car in the work chat. Standard self-storage is a competitive and increasingly consolidated market, but specialized storage, storing wine, legal documents, art and collections in climate-controlled facilities operates in a completely different category with a fundamentally different type of client. Wine storage costs between 1,200 and 6,000 rubles per month per case, and serious collectors store hundreds of cases. Document storage for law firms and medical practices generates automatic recurring income through multi-year contracts with virtually zero customer churn. Differentiation from general storage creates a significantly higher margin per square meter and a client base that almost never leaves. Some specialized operators earn between 180,000 and 300,000 rubles per square meter per year, compared to 5,000 to 10,000 rubles in a standard warehouse. In cities with expensive real estate, charging a premium for specialized storage with the right target customer is one of the most effective ways to build a high-margin business with a small physical footprint. Here's what it all comes down to. Every person running one of these businesses right now was looking at the same economy you are. The same information available to anyone with a phone. The only difference is that they stopped waiting for an opportunity that was interesting enough to tell others about. And they started seriously looking at those that no one else was touching. This shift isn't a skill that takes years to develop. It's a one-time decision about what return you want from your attention. People who make this decision early don't get ahead because they're smarter or better connected. They get ahead because they were willing to look at what everyone else passed by and see it for what it is, boring on the outside and very interesting on the inside.